Have you heard about something called Project 2025? No? Maybe? Well, it's time we talk about it. Because this isn't just another political plan. This is a 900-page blueprint developed by ultra-conservative groups and former Trump officials. And it's already being put into motion under the current Trump administration. And if you're Black, LGBTQ+, a woman, or just someone who believes in basic human rights, this affects you deeply. Today, I'm breaking it all down. Let's get into it.
Project 2025 is a far-right manifesto. It is a 1,000-page bucket list of extremist policies that would uproot every government agency and disrupt the lives of every person who calls this country home. The Department of Education would be eliminated, cutting students off from civil rights protections and ending essential Title I funding.
Have you heard about something called Project 2025? No? Maybe? Well, it's time we talk about it. Because this isn't just another political plan. This is a 900-page blueprint developed by ultra-conservative groups and former Trump officials. And it's already being put into motion under the current Trump administration. And if you're Black, LGBTQ+, a woman, or just someone who believes in basic human rights, this affects you deeply. Today, I'm breaking it all down. Let's get into it.
Project 2025 is a far-right manifesto. It is a 1,000-page bucket list of extremist policies that would uproot every government agency and disrupt the lives of every person who calls this country home. The Department of Education would be eliminated, cutting students off from civil rights protections and ending essential Title I funding for K-12 schools. The Department of Justice would go on a murdering spree. It would rush to use the death penalty and expand its use to even more people while circumventing due process protections. Project 25 not only calls for national book bans in schools, but also creates a list of banned words for the federal government that would be deleted from, quote, every federal rule, agency regulation, contract, grant, and piece of legislation that exists. End quote. Here are just a few of the words on the list: diversity, gender, reproductive health, and of course, conservatives want to ban the word abortion. On that note, abortion care would be inaccessible and illegal no matter where you live. Now, we could have an entire hearing on how these policies would quite literally ruin and end lives, and I didn't even touch upon proposals for housing, climate change, worker protections, and more. If enacted, Project 2025 would destroy the federal government as we know it.
Project 2025 is a detailed, far-right agenda created by the Heritage Foundation and dozens of right-wing think tanks. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's fully published online and you can download it yourself. It was originally designed to prepare Trump's return to office. And now that he's back in power, parts of this plan are already shaping federal policy. Some of the core goals: dismantle federal agencies like the Department of Education and the Environmental Protection Agency. Weaken or eliminate civil rights protections. End diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Increase control of the Department of Justice and federal courts. Ban abortion nationwide. Eradicate LGBTQ+ protections, especially in education and healthcare. And install Christian nationalist ideology and the core of government. This isn't about small government. It's about centralized authoritarian power with a moral and racial agenda.
Project 2025 is not going to be started in 2025. It is not the year of the project's initiation. It is the year in which the Heritage Foundation looks to as the project's culmination. For the latter part of 40 years, the Heritage Foundation has put forth agendas and projects, initiatives, and allocated resources and funds to pilot those initiatives and give them a foothold in our democracy and in our government on the local, state, and federal level. That's why I emphasize the importance of voting on every level. The Heritage Foundation understood the importance of every level of government, from local, from our school boards, all the way up to our Supreme Court. You have to understand, the Heritage Foundation is responsible and played a major role in the election of Ronald Reagan. The Heritage Foundation is responsible and played a major role in the Supreme Court that we see today. The Heritage Foundation is responsible for the creation, the conception, and the authorship of Project 2025. Understand that Project 2025, in tandem with Agenda 47, is aimed at bringing these ideas to fruition in the year 2025. Do you understand that these ideas have been enacted already? When I hear people say, oh, it's just a conservative think tank, it's not real. It's a conservative wish list. When I hear people say that, I ask them a couple of things, starting off with the fact that in order for it to be a wish list, it means it's something that you wish to happen, which means that we've agreed that there are groups of conservatives who wish and yearn for this type of thing to happen. That's the first problem. The second problem, and the question that I ask, is have you read it? Because if you've read it for yourself, you'd understand and you'd see that this is not a wish list, a think tank, or an idea. This is reality. The things outlined in that project have already happened. It has already happened. You have to ask yourself, who has piloted such abhorrent policies, agendas, and ideas? Who is actively trying to undermine our democracy? You got to think a little bit deeper than just your political ideology. You have to think a little bit deeper than party right now. And ask yourself, why would the Supreme Court aggrandize its own power by overturning Chevron deference? It made the judiciary more powerful. Why would it do that? How does that help you and I? How does that help the people? Why would the Supreme Court rule to make a president immune from criminal prosecution, even if they commit criminal acts under their official capacity in the office of the presidency? How does that help us as the people when our leaders don't abide by the same rules that we have to abide by? How does that help us? How does it help us or anyone else to say that voting is not a fundamental right and that it's not constitutionally protected? How does that help anyone? How does that help the people? How does it help the people to dissolve the Department of Education and attack education? How does that help us? Project 2025 is not aimed at helping people. The people, us, you and I. It's not aimed at helping us. It's aimed at keeping one demographic of people in power, because they realize that they are losing their grip on power, and now they're doing everything in their power to keep it. You have to understand something. Justice does not occur while you sit in the audience and watch it walk across the stage. Justice will not come and just sit in your lap. It's not gonna fall out the sky, hit you up top the head. That's not how it works. Justice is an ever-ending initiative, action. Because people understand that if you have enough compassion, enough hope, and enough optimism, that you can fight for justice. Justice is something that you have to fight for. And we have to fight for it. Battle at the ballot box, vote, organize, get involved, understand, educate yourself. Do not allow yourself to be indoctrinated by misinformation. People telling you that it's a think tank. People telling you that this is not real. It's a fallacy. It's not reality. It's an idea. It's so extreme and ridiculous and abysmal. They say it to you to convince you that it's an impossibility so that they can go behind your back and under your nose and implement it without you even noticing. Understand. This is bigger than two people, than two parties. It's about our democracy, because we have seen how outlined in Project 2025 they want to undermine our democratic republic. They want to quite literally terminate aspects of the Constitution. How does that help anyone? Look through the trees, see the forest. Look beyond your conservatism, your republicanism, your liberalism. Look beyond that and see the forest. Understand what's actually happening right now. And come together to ensure that our democracy does not crumble at our feet. Project 2025 is not a joke. It's not a game. Someone sat down. Many people sat down and wrote this out. They sat down and put this on paper. They sat down and implemented it. Many people are believing the lies that Project 2025 isn't real. What do you mean it's not real? Have you read it? They can't do the stuff in there. It's too extreme. That's not a possibility. They wrote it down and it's happening. And that's how I know those who have read it and those who have not. Because those who have read it as a collective, no matter which side of the aisle you find yourself leaning towards as a collective, if you've read that agenda, you are in staunch opposition to it because you understand how pernicious it is to our society and how harmful it is to people. If you haven't read the agenda, a telltale sign is when you say that stuff can't happen. Because if you were reading it for yourself, which I encourage you to do, read it for yourself. If you were reading it for yourself, you'd be able to pinpoint exactly in that manuscript what has already taken place and transpired. You'd be able to see exactly what has already occurred. As you're reading it for yourself, read it for yourself and vote accordingly, because there's a reason they're attacking education. There's a reason they're distancing themselves from it as a campaign. There's a reason they're trying to convince you that it's liberal propaganda and fear-mongering. No, this is what's happening right now. We see it happening. And they put it in 920 pages to deter you from reading it. Read it for yourself. Do not take my word for it, anybody else's. Read it for yourself, and you will see exactly what's at stake. I encourage you to vote. I encourage you to keep the optimism and the hope that change can happen as long as we continue to make it happen. Vote accordingly. Educate yourself. And do not believe the mis and disinformation that tries to convince you that this stuff is not real, because we see it on a daily basis.
Let's be real. Every time there's a right-wing power shift in America, Black communities feel it first and hardest. Project 2025 would mean rollbacks of civil rights laws, loss of DEI protections in schools, workplaces, and federal hiring, attacks on voting rights, especially in Black majority areas, cuts to education programs like Head Start and Pell Grants, threats to affordable health care, including Medicaid and ACA, criminalization of activism and protests, especially Black Lives Matter style movements, and deeper surveillance of marginalized communities. This isn't speculation, it's all in the plan. And if we stay silent, it becomes normal. Think about that.
I am certain that all of you saw, just like I did, and I didn't even know what it was, the left freaking out about Project 2025, right? So much so that Trump came out and said, I don't even know what Project 2025 is. I don't know if he disavowed it explicitly, but he essentially said, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. And that may be true. It is something that was put together by the Heritage Foundation, but I was quite shocked to see it trending over on X. I'm going, what is Project 2025? And so then I did just a little dabble, and I will tell you the document that they put together is about 1,000 pages. I certainly have not read it all. But as I just read the first couple of pages, and my sister told me that she read 103 pages of it, and she said, Candace, I'm not really sure what's wrong with 2025, the Project 2025. And I went, really? You haven't come across anything? She's like, no, it's sort of saying everything that we feel about DEI initiatives and things of that nature. And I went, oh, is this one of those things where conservatives are acting like cowards because we're allowing the left to seize the narrative? I call it the game of disavow, where they essentially just create a field of peer pressure, and a bunch of people start asking you about something that you don't even really know what it is or what the person has said or what the thing or the pamphlet says, but you're just like, I disavow it. I disavow, please just stop. I just don't want to be under this attack. That is not the right response whatsoever. It's not the right response. Rather, we should put them, make them say, actually, you tell me, what is Project 2025? And I'll tell you whether or not I support it or I don't support it. Let's go through it point by point. Put them on their toes. So I'm going to tell you, by the way, these are just a couple of bullets, and this is available on Wikipedia. So, Wikipedia is where it's so run by the left and run by the ADL that they're going to try to say the absolute worst things that they can about Project 2025 because they hate us. They hate conservatives. And I read through and I went, there's nothing in this Wikipedia entry that I disagree with. So under a worst case Wikipedia scenario, here is what they've got here. The philosophical outlook. The main Project 2025 document outlines 4 main aims: restoring the family as the centerpiece of American life, dismantling the administrative state, defending the nation's sovereignty and borders, and securing what they believe to be a key to a good life, which is found primarily in family, marriage, children, Thanksgiving dinners, and the like, the person who wrote this writes, and above all, in religious devotion and spirituality. What am I supposed to dislike about this? Have any conservatives said this? By the way, I haven't been paying attention. Have there been conservatives that have said Project 2025 is bad? Because maybe you should ask yourself whether or not they are conservatives. Oh gosh, it gets crazier. It says that under Foreign Policy tab that Project 2025 favors neither interventionism nor isolationism. Instead, it emphasizes that all decisions related to foreign policy must prioritize national interests. The horror. The horror. Now I see why people had to walk it back and say that how could we support this? That would make us conservative. I mean, I just don't get it. I mean, I sent a tweet. I'm like, guys, I'm sort of looking into this. Can somebody express to me why we're supposed to be pretending that this document is wrong? And Mike Cernovich offered that you keep looking into it. It may be a Trojan horse. It may be more neocon-y on the topic of foreign policy. And I promise that I will look further into the foreign policy aspects of this document. But I can tell you by just having a brief look here, Project 2025 sounds pretty good to me. So if I run for president, I want you guys to know in the future, and they step to me and they say, do you Project 2025? I'm going to look them straight in the face and I'm going to say, yes, all of it. That's what we're going to do. We are going to be doing Project 2025. We're going to restore families. We're going to restore faith. And unless you can explicitly point to me what in this document you find problematic, I'm not going to fall for your system of do you disavow and trying to make me fearful to stand by what I deem to be conservative principles.
It's always easy to say it's not that bad when you're not the one. Just because the first 100 pages didn't scream dictatorship doesn't mean the next 800 don't. This isn't just about what's written, it's about how it's used and who it's meant to silence. Yes? So how are Black creators and activists responding? Through something called Black Project 2025. It started as a TikTok page, not an official movement, not an institution, but it became a digital rallying cry. A space for Black people to say, if they have a plan for us, we need a plan for ourselves. Their Linktree lets you join the community, check out resources, connect, and organize. I highly recommend checking it out, even if it's just to learn more, share with others, or find ways to stay connected. We cannot afford to be isolated anymore. Some of the main ideas of Black Project 2025: building Black-led schools and alternative education networks, investing in Black-owned businesses and land, promoting financial literacy and independence, healing from generational trauma, strengthening Pan-African unity and diaspora awareness, creating networks for self-defense, safety, and mutual aid. Black movements like Black Project 2025 are gaining traction, and they are not alone. There also a legal and political pushback from organizations like Democracy Forward, which is working to fight Project 2025 through advocacy and legal action.
Black Project 2025 was barely even a scam. It was a pipe dream. Shawty talking about she gonna use the project to open up Black grocery stores, Black banks, Black doctors' offices, Black lawyer offices. That's not a project. That's community. And thinking you can throw money at the issue of why we can't build fully functioning Black communities misunderstands our plight as Black people to the point of disrespect. Our issues as a community, one of them being our lack of economic safety that Black Project 2025 was offering, stem from our exploitation, not our lack of communal effort. It makes sense that the people who harp on the Black dollar, Black businesses, or Black people being financially illiterate are spearheading these movements in what I would call an evolved respectability politic. We are prevented from benefiting from our culture as a collective, not because there's not enough money or individual effort, but because the system quite literally cannot function without our labor as Black people being exploited. The real Project 2025 will show you that. Shit, history will show you that. The moment that woman said she was going to run Black Project 2025 like a business and for us to boycott other businesses, I knew it wasn't going to amount to much. And that's because since its conception, capitalism has been fueled by Black oppression and Black enslavement. That being said, Black capitalism will not save us. It will only distract us. The Black version of a white supremacist plan is as contradictory as it sounds.
So I know y'all heard about old girl in that Black Project 2025 situation. Don't even worry about that, because I'm about to give you a play that we can implement on a local level. Everybody, every local Black community can implement this today, starting today. Number one, we need to take inventory. We need to gather data, real data. Like, for real, we need to really sit down and gather data of every Black community. We need to take inventory of every Black professional, every entrepreneur in business, every lawyer, every doctor, every educational institution, every financial institution, every plumber, every electrician. We need all these people and resources to go in a directory. Step 2. We identify the gaps. You take that directory, all that data you gathered, and we analyze it. We begin to identify the gaps. We know what we have. Now we need to identify what we don't have. This is what's going to give us something to work towards. That's the sweet spot right there. Once you know what you're missing, that gives everybody in the community somewhere to put their efforts. We know we have too much of this, so we need to start doing this more. We have too many barbers. Maybe we need more plumbers. We have too many people selling body butter. Maybe you need to sell something. We need something else. We identify the gaps. This is what's going to make us more self-sufficient. Once you identify the gaps, you don't have to go out the community as much. Everything you need can be found in the community. Number 3, we need to organize with a purpose. We need to start moving on purpose with a purpose. We need to start moving on purpose with a purpose. Every problem in community needs a team that's dedicated to it. All the major projects in the community. I'm talking like a development group that's going to help buy Black the Block and revitalize the community. A health and wellness group that's going to make sure we have access to nutrition from Black farmers. A community investment group that's going to help us invest in Black-owned businesses and other projects in the community. We need groups that's focused on these major problems that a lot of us individually can't solve. So we need group economics to help solve it. That's when we really start moving as a community on a local level. If we implement these 3 steps, every Black community will know where they're weak and will have something to work towards. And guess what? After you do your directory and if you figure out what's missing, if you don't have it, the next Black community might have it. That's when you start networking. The community that's 20 minutes away from you, the next city, the next town, wherever, they 20 minutes away, they might have it. If we implement these 3 things, we'll be straight. I'm telling you, we'll be fine. If I'm missing something, just let me know in the comments.
What we can learn and do now. You don't have to agree with everything. You don't have to be an activist. But you do have to be awake, because Project 2025 is already happening. And movements like Black Project 2025 and Democracy Forward show us we are not powerless. We still have time to organize, share knowledge, protect each other, reclaim our futures. But that time is not unlimited.
See, we're going to find out very, very soon, like now, who's with us and who's truly not.
Who's on our side.
Because this is a call to action to any media company that's not covering Black Project 2025 or Anaya Holloway. You are doing your people, your audience, a disservice. Even if they weren't your audience, that if this is not your audience's movement, then it's still national news. It's still something that is extremely viral. It's something that is country news. It's something that affects the United States, because quite honestly, why wouldn't you want to see Black people rally together, unify, to create better commerce, higher GDP, have more wealth? That's going to reduce crime. As we reduce poverty, that's going to reduce crime in the neighborhood, which is crimes in our country. Why wouldn't you want to see that? So if you continue to see Dr. Umar talking about every plan he has for a school, but he's not pointing you to Black Project 2025 or Anaya Holloway, I got to ask why. Why, brother? We have no problem pointing to another leader who is rising up, who we need to support as a community, who has rallied something that we haven't seen in many, many years.
Here are a list of companies that donated money to Project 2025. We've got 1-800-Flowers, Ace Hardware, AutoZone, Bacardi, Ashley Furniture. And Ashley Furniture, I think, is real funny, because if you were selling to the Republicans that you donated money to, you would 9 times out of 10 not be promoting as many leases as y'all do. You're promoting your products to middle class and poorer people, but donating against them. Anyway, we've got Baskin Robbins, and this one really took me because I loved Baskin Robbins ice cream. Bluebell ice cream, never cared for it. Boost Mobile, Buffalo Wild Wings, Buick Cadillac, Champion Chobani, Cinnabon, always been an Auntie Anne's fan. Conair, Dairy Queen, Dole, them fruit cups you giving your kids, yep, they donated to him too. Dunkin' Donuts, America ain't gonna be running on Dunkin' much longer. Enterprise Rental Car, Exxon, Fruit of the Loom, Geico, Hanes, Hardee's, Hershey, Hobby Lobby, Jif Peanut Butter, Jimmy Dean, Land O'Lakes, you know, that cheap butter, Marshalls, McDonald's. And this is what's getting me about most of the names on this list. These are bargain brands. The bulk of your buyers are Democrat. The New York Yankees, Motorola. Ain't nobody buying them damn phones no more anyway. Papa John's, Playtex. You don't know you selling to women? Public Storage, Publix, Spalding, Stanley, the Buccaneers, the LA Angels, the Saints, Tito's. Tito's ain't even a high-end vodka. Tito's! Support who supports you. TJ Maxx, Urban Outfitters, Walmart, and Wendy's. Wendy's. Them Republicans ain't pulling up through that drive-thru asking for that 4 for $4 or that $5 biggie bag. I'm telling you. And before somebody said in the comments, yes, I know Republicans shop at a lot of these places too. But these are bargain brands. They are appealing to middle class society. Why are they donating to Project 2025?
So now I'm asking you, have you heard of Project 2025 before or today? Have you joined the Black Project 2025 page on TikTok or their Linktree? What are you doing to stay ready, aware, and connected? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk, let's organize, and let's protect our communities before it's too late. And if you found this video helpful, like it, share it, and subscribe, because more people need to see this. Thanks a lot.